So good afternoon or good morning, depending on what part of the world you've logged in from. As Jill mentioned, my name's Gary Fisher. I think most of you already know me, but for those of you that don't, I work for IO Integration over here in the UK. So as Jill mentioned, we recently teamed up with the guys from Aproove to be able to offer this product to all of our client base. The reason we wanted to add this to our portfolio of products is because several different reasons, but a couple of those reasons are, first and foremost, the tool is very, very futuristic in our opinion. There's a lot of online approval tools available in the market, but the reason we want to work with Aproove is because they are very, very forward thinking. The interface has been purposely designed to be very, very simple to use. The whole idea behind that is because you don't want your clients or your internal staff to have to be trained to use a tool like this. It needs to be very, very simple. As you also mentioned there as well, at the back of Aproove is a really powerful workflow engine, and you can actually automate a lot of your tasks to happen by using a couple of the other modules that come with the product, and you can expand this system out to be a global enterprise approval system. So what I'm going to do first of all, before we get started, is I'm just going to show this one slide here just to explain how the product's broken down. Now don't worry too much about this slide, it looks way more complicated than it is, and we'll work on making this a little bit more simple for people. But essentially on the left-hand side here, this blue area where it's got base product, that is what I'm going to be showing you today. So this is the entry-level core module for the Aproove product. But obviously, depending on the size of your company, depending on your client's needs, depending on your needs, you may need additional functionality. And that next area down the left-hand side there shows some of the extra functionality that can be available. And I'll mention some of these whilst we're doing a demonstration today. Okay, so let me just come out of here and I'm going to log into a web browser. And I'm going to click on my Aproove link. Okay, so this demo server that I'm using is actually the Aproove's own server, which is based in the cloud somewhere in Europe. And one of the most compelling things about the Aproove software is that the way it's been architectured is actually very, very effective. Essentially, it's two servers. One server acts as a RIP, which basically is where all your files will arrive, and the server will then rip those files and it will then make them available to the web server. Now, Aproove are using the Adobe libraries to do all of the ripping, which is great because you've got that consistency and you've got that guaranteed output from Adobe. And the other great thing about the RIP engine is that Aproove, being the clever people that they are, have built their own tiling technology. Now, what that basically means in simple terms is that it rips your file very, very fast and it makes it available on the web server really efficiently. And it doesn't take up a lot of resources on your server, which is another great thing about it. And the way that Aproove works is that they don't restrict you on using hard workers on your server, and they also allow you to have an unlimited amount of guest users that come into the system, which is really quite unique for a system like this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and log in with my username and password. And I should mention that when I'm logging in here, if you want to, if you're a corporate company or you need to use this, we can actually have an LDAP connector for Aproove, which will work with Active Directory or Open Directory, and it will hold all of the settings that are in your corporate AD. So that is something to bear in mind. We can add that functionality if you wanted to. Now, when you enter the system, on the left-hand side, these are all of the jobs that you've been invited to have some sort of approval say on these particular jobs. So I'm going to go ahead and open up one of these jobs. Now, essentially, with an approval system, you're either you're going to approve an image, you're going to approve a PDF, you're going to approve maybe a video or an interactive file. So I'll go through 3 or 4 different formats throughout this demo and try and give you a bit of an idea what happens with the different file formats. So let's start off first of all with an image. So I've got one here. This is a job called High Quality Demo. And as you can see, what we've got here is an image which is very high resolution. So let me just minimize this area here. You can see that we can select the image. If this was multiple pages, they would all be showing down the side here, and we can go into full screen if we want to. You'll notice along the top here we have the ability to look at the different channels on this image, and we also have the eyedropper here if we want to do the colour picking. Now, to be honest, Aproove has been, as we mentioned earlier, purposely stripped back, because what we found is most people don't really care about these high-level features. They were more interesting for printers and people like that want to do that kind of level of correction where you're looking at colour breakdowns or you're doing measurements and you're doing those types of things. This product is, the whole interface is purely designed for ease of use. And it's aimed more at people that just want to come in and do corrections. So with that in mind, what Aproove did, they tried to clean up the whole interface. Now in my demo, obviously I've got all of the buttons turned on, but we can turn all of these off. And essentially the only couple of buttons that you need are the ones over here. This is your select tool, this is the main tool, this is the note tool, and you'll notice it's the only one that's got a colour on it. And that's just to highlight that really that's the only tool you need to use. The other one is obviously zoom, and then you've got a few other options along here which we'll go through a bit later. But again, you can turn these off. So the first thing I'm going to do is just show you how quick the rip engine is on the Aproove software. So basically, if I select the zoom tool here, I'm going to zoom in on a small area of this image, and you'll notice how quickly that zoomed in at high resolution, even on a large file format. And you'll see that the detail that you can get from that zoom, the zooming capabilities are quite unbelievable. You can literally zoom in, you know, at incredible rates, but it's very, very quick because all of the work has already been done on the rip engine previously, and it's using the tiling technology to be able to do that. So I'm just on an image. Maybe I just want to make a quick note on this file. I select this tool, and I can click anywhere, and that will give me the ability to just type in a note. So I'm just going to type in a note here, and you'll notice we also have a little paperclip icon in the corner, which allows us to add a file to this correction if we want to, and I'll talk about that in more detail a bit later. So I'm just going to validate that note, and you can see that there's the note here, and I'll show you down the bottom there, it's showing me that one notification has been made for this job. Now, the other thing that Aproove have been quite clever about doing is making this one tool you need to do. So if I wanted to draw something, so let me draw a circle, then I can use that same tool to draw a circle. So as you can see, there's no end user training required here. It's really simple for the end users to engage with this product. So I can just put it in here, I don't know, remove, and click on validate. So you can see we're starting to do one or two corrections, and if you want to look at those corrections, you'll see that we've got two notifications down here, and if I click over here, I can get a list of the corrections that I've put in. And if I had other people collaborating, we'd see all of those listed down here as well, and we've got a full history tab. I'm going to close that for the moment. So that's just looking at a high quality image. If I come out of here back to one-on-one again, you'll see that there's my two corrections, but they're very small. So the great thing about this, it means if I go back to this area here and I click, it will actually take me in at the correct zoom level to be able to see what that correction was, and it will start flashing for me. So again, very easy to use interface aimed at being able to find things quickly and easily. Okay, so let's zoom back out of here. And once we're done there, I just wanted to quickly point out the print tool. So up here, we've got the option to print. Now you can turn this off. You don't have to have this available, but there's a couple of things I want to show you in here. So when you click on a print tool, you get a few options. You can print a low res of the actual file. You can print a low res PDF of the file, or you can print a contract proof. So let's say I just want a low res PDF. I select that, and we get some options. We can actually, if it was multiple pages, we can select the pages that we want. we can select the version of the file that we want to print out, because it might have several different versions. We can also ask it to add the notes to an Acrobat format, so that if you wanted to, all of the notes you've made in Aproove could be converted to Acrobat, so that you could download it as an Acrobat PDF with the notes attached. And you've got some other options in there, and you can download that PDF from in here. Now, the other option on the end here is contract proof. Now, if I click on this, it's going to be empty. But what we can do as well is you can actually set up your contract proof options in here, and you can actually output them to printing devices automatically in this area. So you've got the ability there to have high resolution contact proofs sent to wherever you need them to be sent to, some device that maybe you put in your client's building, for example, if you want to go to that level. Okay, so I'm going to come out of here now. I'm going to go across to a different type of job. So let's go to my retail catalogue demo. Okay, so this is a PDF document, and you'll notice that along the top here we've got 3 sections. We've got pages 1 to 16, 17 to 32, all the way up to pages 81 to 87. So this is an 87-page PDF, and this PDF is actually 1.8 gigabytes in file size. It's a huge PDF. Now, I'm going to scroll down to one of these pages, one that's quite nice to use. Let's use this one, for example. And if I click on it, you'll see that we obviously get a preview inside, and we're looking at a different file format. Now, because this is a large PDF with a lot of pages, you also get the option here to look at the job as a flip book. So if I click on this button here, it will take us into a flip book view, and we can actually just turn the pages. You can do it manually, or we can do it over here with the arrows. And we've got the flip book capabilities inside there as well, which is quite nice. Coming out of there, we can come back to the actual catalogue itself. Let me go to a different page. And basically, when you select the page, what I'm going to do is use that same tool again. So I'm going to zoom in into a particular area of this page. And again, we're just using that one same tool, and I'm going to make a few little notes and a few little corrections. So I've already shown you this, but I'm just going to draw a circle around that and say remove. And maybe I want to attach a note to this file, and I could go away and basically attach anything I want to this file. So maybe I want to replace that image with this image right here, and I can attach it. And that's now been attached. As you can see, there's the name of the file that's been attached. It's been attached to this little note here, and I can validate that correction. So that correction has been made. Then maybe I want to make another correction. So again, we can just use the note tool, and I'm going to do this one over here, and I can make a few notes and validate that one. Now, the other thing this tool can do, which is pretty cool, it can also extract the text. So you can see that even though we're still using this same tool, it's now, because we're actually touching the text, it can actually be now used as a text tool. So I've selected the text that I want to edit, and you'll notice we've got another little button because it's text down the bottom here, and if we select that, it's showing us the text that we've selected. So I'm going to remove this word at the end, and you'll notice on the right hand side it's now gone red because that's the word that's been removed. And I'm going to type in a new word, and you'll notice that that's now being typed in green on the right hand side to show you that that's the word that it's replacing. So you've got a nice little audit trail there. Or you might want to attach a Word document with some text changes or something like that. So I'll click validate, and we've done 3 different types of correction on that actual page itself. Okay, so while we're here, let's come back out to normal page view, and I'm going to click on this button here, and we can now look at all the corrections that I've just made. So just looking at some of these buttons, maybe further down the workflow, this correction has been sent back to someone internally who needs to go and make them, and a different user might have a different option here. So maybe if I'm the guy that's doing these changes, it will be a little tick box, and I can tick box to say that I've made that correction, for example. Okay, the other thing we can do here is we can look at the notes and review and remove them. And some of the other things we can do, we can delete the notes if we've got permissions to do that. and you'll also see that we can download the file that I attached to that note. So this is the actual file that I attached from my desktop. I can now download that from within the correction area. The other thing that we can do, you can see that this is the text change that I made. This is the third correction that I made here. And you'll see that when you click on any of these corrections, it highlights where on the page the correction's been made. But this one here has this little triangle tool, and if I click on that, that will very quickly highlight the changes that were made as well inside the text change area. So just another little shortcut that you can use on that.
Gary?
Yes.
We have a question from the audience. We're wondering if the front end is implemented in Flash or what kinds of technology are behind the tool.
Yeah, so is it okay if I answer that one at the end? Because I'll talk a little bit more about the infrastructure towards the end there.
Sure, let's go ahead and go into the architecture later. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so the other really cool feature in here is you see we've got this little button at the top here. Now, if you are talking about ROI on a product, if I was a studio manager, one of the things that obviously is going to happen is my guys in studio are going to have to open up this file in InDesign and implement these changes. Now, what I don't want to happen is maybe the client's made the first correction down here in the bottom right-hand side, the second correction was made over here, the third correction was made up here. So essentially, my operator has to zoom in up, zoom in down here to make a correction, come back out, zoom in over here, come back out. What we can do, we can actually select this button here, and that will actually reorder the corrections, and it will then put them in the order that's more efficient for the operator to work in. So it will actually make them in the correct order for the operator to go through and make those corrections. So really nice little time saver that's going to make it more appropriate for people and save time in the studio. Okay, so the other thing I want to do just while I'm here is talk about how we can do invites from within the proof. So there's several ways we can do this. We can do it on the left-hand side here. So if we look at the pages, you'll see they've all got a little tick box area. So I might select the pages that I want to invite people to come and view, and then we've got a little invitation button that we can select here. And if I click on that, it will allow me to invite people to the pages I've selected. You can see there it's showing pages 6 and 7 where I'm hovering around with the mouse. So that's one way. The other way you can do it, if I turn these off, is maybe I want to invite someone to the page that I'm currently viewing, and I can do that up here by doing send an invitation, and then we can do an invitation. And I'll run through the invitation options in a moment. So we can do that on a specific page. Now the other option that you might want to do is you might want to do it using what we call a flat plan view. Now flat plan view might not be the right terminology. To be pages, it might be videos, it might be some other format. So to look at the flat plan view, we can basically select this option over here. Bear with me just a second. Okay, so let's go to the flat plan view. Oh, sorry. Wrong button. Sorry, right here. So when we go into this view, basically what it does, it shows us all of the pages within the document. So you can see here we've got a flat plan view of the actual document itself, 87 pages. Now the other thing we can do, if we want to, we can click the button here and we can show previews of the pages. So we can see them here. You can change the size and you can sort of make them bigger and smaller. So you've got an overall view of the actual pages themselves. Now the other thing you might want to do, if I turn off these previews, we can use it as a colour area. Now what I'm going to do is say that I want to invite someone to page 2, I want someone to be invited to page 26, 51 and 75. So there's 4 pages that I need someone to come and look at. So from here I can do an invite. So when I select the invite, it pops up with this nice little window which is really easy to use. And from here you can select who you want to invite. So I'm going to put in my email address. And because I've been using the system before, it's remembered my settings, and it means that I don't have to go in and do all of this stuff more than once because we've already done it before. But if you wanted to, you could come in and customize how you want this invitation to be sent to whoever you want it to be sent to. So first of all, I filled out my my email address, and the second option you got here, if you want to, there's two ways you can do an approval. You might do it on a question basis, or you might want it so that they can come in and do annotations. A question might be really simple. You can fix it however you want. You can determine this yourself. Do you approve this, yes or no? And you only give them two options. Or if you want them to come and actually physically do markup on the page, you wouldn't ask them a question, but you do have that option. So I'm going to do a custom message. I'm going to say, please, can you review these pages? And you can also specify what language the person that's receiving this email needs it to be sent in. So I'm obviously going to stay in English. Now, view, this is actually quite interesting. When we click on view, as I showed you earlier, the production view is the view, like the flat plan view that we're looking at here. So it could bring them straight into that flat plan view. The other option is it could bring them into the page turning view, for example. But I'm going to go with the default, which is the actual PDF view. User rights, this is the permissions that that person has to interact with this job when they get the invite sent to them. So you can play around with these depending on what you want them to be able to do. The next thing you've got the option to do here is the expiration date. So you might say that as soon as the person opens up this proof, it expires once they've made their changes and they can't open it again. Or you might say they've got 4 days to play around with it and then it will time out the job. So you've got some options in there too. One other thing I did want to show you, and I'll show you that in a moment, is in the view area, I haven't set it up on this particular job, but I'll show you in a moment. You can actually also allow people to zoom in on part of a page and only send that part of the page in the approval process. So you can even be very granular about what part of the page people see when they get this invitation. So I'm going to go ahead and send this invite, and what that should do is send an email to my personal email account. And I'm going to try and show you all of this live from the second I receive the email and show you how I can do some approvals, and then you'll see those changes occurring here in the flat plan. So it may take a few seconds for my email to come through. So bear with me a second while that sorts itself out. And while it's doing that, what I'll do, I'll go back to the actual job and I'll show you how you can zoom in on a particular part of the page as well. So let me go to the invite tool again, and I want to go to view, and you see here I can actually tick this box and say I only want this person I emailed the proof to only see that part of the page. So that's a really cool feature. I don't know any other system that allows you to do that. You can be really restrictive about what part of the page people see. So let me come out of there. Okay, so while that was happening, I've received my email. So you can see here, I've received this email. You've been invited. I'm logged in as Xavier, who's one of the owners of Aproove, and he's invited me to look at this particular job. Now, the email is a really basic link, but you can glam that up a little bit if you like with the HTML. But I'm going to go ahead and click on this link. So I've been invited as a guest to this particular proof. So let's get rid of our email. And you'll see that once this is launched, I don't need to be someone that's already logged in the system. I can, because you've invited me as a guest, it will only take me to the pages you've allowed me to see. And once I'm logged in, it will allow me to start doing the markup and approval on them, depending on what permissions I've been granted. Okay, so here we go. I've been logged in, and you can see there's the message that I sent that person when I sent the invite. Please can you review these pages? I'll click on continue. And I only see the pages now on the left-hand side that I was invited to. So this person that's a guest has not used up one of your user licenses. This is a guest user, and they are unlimited. So I've got 4 pages that I've got to make some decisions on. So let's go to page 2. I'm going to make a comment on that. I'm going to circle this, and I'm going to say make 10% and validate. Now you'll notice, let me go back to this view over here because I want to show you this live. So back in this flat plan view over here, you see that I just made a change on page 2, and you'll notice now that it's gone this amber colour, and I can see that something's happened on that page. Let me do it again because you couldn't see that. So one of the other pages is page 26, which is this one right here. So let's go into page 26, and let's go ahead and make a text correction here. I'm going to say 89, validate. Okay, and you'll see that in a second that one's now gone amber, which means that someone's made a correction on that page. Now the other option is I might have looked at page 51, which is right here, and I'm happy with that page, so I'm just going to tick it, which has essentially approved it, and you'll see that it's now gone green, and that's all live in the flat plan. And this one here, I don't care about that page, so I'm going to reject it completely. And if we look at that one, it's now gone red. So you can set up all of these different coloured statuses so you can get an update with what's happening on the jobs very, very quickly and very, very easily. So that's the flat plan view, and that's a little bit about how you can invite people in as guests into the system to be able to do notes, annotations, whatever you want them to be able to do. Okay, so let's come out of there, and let's go back to our job itself. Okay, so all of that stuff I just showed you there, where I've made changes to these pages, you also have the ability at the back end with Aproove to have what they call actions and states, which can trigger things to happen. So, for example, this page got rejected. You might then want to automate something to happen because it got rejected or refused. This one got approved, so that you might want to set up a trigger that then fires that off directly to someone to print it or whatever. So you can set up workflows to work all around this and alongside this. So although the interface is very easy for the client, it can do some really complex stuff in the background without anyone even needing to know about that. It's all business process. Okay, so one of the other most important things about a tool like this is clearly the approval status and versioning status. So let's go take a look at a versioning demo that I've got set up here. So I clicked on a versioning document, and the reason I've selected this document is because it's gone through a few revisions. So you can see here, these little circles mean the top one is the page number, and the one behind it is how many versions of that page there are in the system. So if I go down to example for page number 5, we can see that there's 3 versions of that page. So if I select that page, what it's doing straight away is it's actually highlighting in red where there was changes in the new version. So let's go ahead and take a look at a bit more detail on that. And what we've got here is the ability to look at different proofs, different versions side by side. So we've got this little slider on the left-hand side here. So I want to look at version 1 and I want to compare that against version 2 or version 3. So very simply, you can just use this slider tool. And you've also got this little tick box where you can show the differences, and it will start blinking where there was a difference between version 1 and 3. So you can see it very quickly. The other alternative is you'd rather, if you want to, you can use this tool here, and it will overlay the changes between versions 1 and 3 over the top. So you can see them very clearly using this little transparency tool here. So you've got different options of how to view the versions. You can also view them top and bottom or side by side, however you prefer to view them is entirely up to you. So the versioning tool is really powerful. There's a lot of functionality in that, and it allows you to be able to really compare the things at a really good level. Okay, just while I'm in here, actually, I want to just go to a different job. Now, the reason I want to show this is because there's just a couple of reasons. So you see here, this is more of a packaging job, which may not be relevant for a lot of people in this call, but I just want to point out something. You'll notice along the top here, it's recognising all the special colours. It's obviously seeing CMYK, but it's also seeing all the special colours in the approval interface is the one that we would give to the end users. So it's nice and simple, easy to use. If you were a printer or you were a technical customer that needs to be able to do things like measuring, density, and all those types of advanced things that you don't really have a lot of clients doing, but you might need to do it because you're a packager or you're a technical person, there is another interface that you can log into Aproove with, which is called the QC interface. And that allows you to have way more technical tools, but we hide that away from the standard user because we don't want to give them too many tools which confuses them. So if that was interesting to you, we can provide a different interface for those type of user. Okay, so the other thing I want to quickly talk about is video and interactive. Now, if I click on this this video job, what we're looking at here is actually a MP4 video. Now, when I click on this to play, it may go a bit juddery in the screen because it's in a webinar, but from my end, it's playing the video in a very smooth manner, so don't worry too much about that if that does occur. Now, with video and interactive and HTML and all of those types of formats, Aproove will be launching support for those in September. So we're not too far away from that, that's only a few weeks away. And I just wanted to have a talk about some of the functionality you can get with videos and things like that. So let's click on our video here. Let's make this a little bit bigger. And you'll notice that there's the video. Obviously, I haven't started playing it yet, but you'll notice along the bottom here are the frames, and it will go through that on a timeline. So let's click play. And you can see it's now playing the video. And we've got, along the bottom right-hand side here, we've got the timeline. I'm just going to turn the sound off. And you can see that we've got the time and we've got the codex. Now, you'll also notice that there's some annotation marks being put onto the page here. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video. Now, I might want to make an annotation note at this point. So I can simply add my note, but I want that note to go across not just that frame, I want it to go across several different frames. So I can hit play again, and then I can hit pause when I want to stop it. And I'm going to say demo. So I'm putting a note, but that note is now going to be spread across the time frame. So you can't see it here, but there's the start of the note, and then it will show me where the end of that note is. So let's go ahead and play. And we can see where the notes are very quickly. So really nice. You can actually stop, start, pause, play the video, put the notes in where you want them to be put on. It will add them to the codex, the timeline. And over here, we can see all of the notes that have been put onto this video. And you can see we've got different colours for different users. And if you want to see any of these notes, you can click on them, and it will take you to the relevant part of the video where that note has been applied. So very quickly, you can jump to the different notes and have a look at them. So that's a little bit about the videos. Now, as I mentioned, this is not ready released yet, but it will be very shortly. This will also have the ability to do, you know, like I did with the PDF, where you could invite someone to a specific part of the proof. You'll also be able to do that with videos. So I spoke to a client recently that deals with a lot of video formats, and it was an agency, and they said that they have a pretty common problem that when they're launching a new product for a client, maybe they have to do a TV commercial, but different people need to approve different parts of that TV commercial, but they don't want them to see the product because it's not really, launched yet. So what that means is it has to go back into the video editing suite, and someone has to block out all of the parts of the video that you don't want people to see. So what this enables you to be able to do is when we do an invite, I won't be able to show this right now because it's not added in here at the moment, but it will be. When we go to invite and we go to view, you can see that we've got the video, and this is the wrong terminology, but this will be changed. You'll be able to actually select the parts of the video that you want people to be able to view when you send them an invitation to come and do the annotation. So that means you don't have to make 25 versions of this video to get different parts of the video approved. You can just use one video and only send out the parts you want people to review, which is really, really powerful, a massive ROI saving point that I don't think any other system is able to do in terms of annotations. So that's quite a big plus point. With HTML, What will happen is if you place HTML files on here, let's say, for example, a website. Let me go back here to this area. What you'll see is there'll be a website, and it will be like a tree view, and it will show you the first HTML page, then it will show you all of the other pages that are within that HTML website. So it'll be like like all the links down the left-hand side there. It will also support all the Swift formats, and that should be ready probably around about September, early October time for beta. So we're pretty excited about that when it comes on board. The other thing I should mention is Aproove have a fantastic API technology, and they have documented APIs, and that means that IO Integration have already started building integration between Portal and Aproove, and Aproove have already built integration from Aproove to Portal. So you have an either-or method. You might have your clients coming in via Zynet if you already have a Zynet server, and you maybe click on a button in Zynet which takes you into the Aproove approvals area. But as far as the client's concerned, they've never left the Zynet environment. And alternatively, you might have people that log into Aproove, but they might want to do some markup on a file, and maybe when they click to attach a file, it might look at the Zynet database for all of your imagery. So with the APIs, we can do a lot of integration. We're really excited about that, which is another reason why we selected this product. And it doesn't just have to be Zynet. It could be pretty much anything that you want to integrate this into. So I think that's about it from me, Jill. That's a really sort of 20,000 foot overview. All I will say is that the product has an incredible amount of functionality, and as Jill mentioned before, a lot of that happens at the back end, which is obviously hard to show in a demo. Like you can set up automated workflows, and one of the other really great modules with Aproove allows you to almost have independent silos within a business. So, for example, you've got a 100-page catalogue, and your client might need to review those pages, but those pages at your client's end might need to go to a legal team. They might need to go to another group of people that approve the images, another group of people that approve the text. So you can actually have, right, this block of pages, these group of people can only do text approvals, and they can have almost like their own mini workflow. Once they've all done their own internal collaboration, that will be sent back up the food chain to whoever's in charge, and then all of those will be collated and sent back to the person that originated the proof. So you can have multi-branches of approvals happening all on the same job at the same time, which is, again, another feature that I don't think a lot of other annotation products allow you to do.